Welcome back to Smoke Signals, everyone. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Wayne Coleman. Fighting Indians get a big win at home, and Coach, it's been a while coming, but you get the win over Hallsville. More importantly, a district win, 49-20. Your overall thoughts about the big win?
I felt like our kids played with a lot of intensity. They were really amped up for the game. And they didn't let that hinder their execution. You know, sometimes when you're too excited, you know, it kind of gets in the way of you doing your job correctly. We had a lot of kids just really do what we asked them to do, and we found we didn't look for ways to beat ourselves this week. A lot fewer mistakes this week.
And it was a game where you won time of possession again. You had more total yards. I mean, your offense did what they needed to do, but the defense also stepped up, and we've seen this improvement from the Henderson game. Then you had the bye week, and then last Friday night against Hallsville, the defense played pretty good.
Yeah, they are doing a great job against the spread teams. You know, we talked about this before. That's kind of what we feel comfortable against. Of course, we practice against it every day. When we practice against it,
that's what everybody's running.
That's what most of the people run most of the time. So they're kind of in our comfort zone when we play that kind of a team.
And you know, we talked about trying to put a whole football game together. You know, we go all the way back to Crandall where, you know, suspect defense, great offense, and then Palestine, and then Henderson, your defense stepped up, but the offense had its problems. Then, you know, just a total effort, including special teams Friday night was really good too.
Yeah, the special teams kids were great. 7 out of 7 on extra points. Navy SEALs, our punt team, had 0 return yards against it. I think a net of 37 yards a kick. So we had really some good execution in the special teams also.
And you had kind of an unusual week. You had some COVID issues the previous week during the bye week, and you had some move some young players up that had to step in, and they stepped in well.
They did, especially on the defensive front. We moved a few defensive linemen up from the JV to kind of fill in some holes that we had because of illnesses, and those kids stepped up and played well.
No, you want to run the ball. JT stepped up and had another outstanding game, 4 scores. We'll see some highlights in a minute. Ryan threw for over 300 yards. Your offense seems to be getting in a groove here.
It's getting better. We need to be a little more consistent in some of the things we try to do. We're a little erratic in places, but for the most part, we did run the ball pretty well, and that's key right now. And
probably the biggest news of the win is that the Fighting Indians got the feathers on their helmet. So that was a big deal too.
Yeah, it is a big deal for the kids. You know, as coaches, the glitz and glamour stuff. We could go with nothing on the helmet. We could go with, you know, no socks and just plain jerseys and everything. But the kids, they want to look good. So they were excited. Monday morning, the first thing we did was we gathered the varsity team in the team room, and this is the first time they got to do it. They put their own feathers on, so that was kind of a neat deal.
Big win, 49-20 at Tomato Bowl over Hallsville. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Here's Ryan to Jermaine, who had a big game for 41. Nice run after the catch.
Yeah, a really nice ball there by Ryan. Good read, good delivery.
And this was really kind of a game changer right here. This is the congratulations play of the week. This scoop and score by Jermaine.
Yeah, they threw the ball backwards there, and Jermaine was very alert and made a big play for us.
And defensively, Devin steps in. He plays primarily offense, but sometimes he's on defense, and boy, he really made a big play on this separation on this 3rd down long.
Yeah, he's a real physical kid. You got to be careful there. You don't want to get targeting or anything, but that was a clean hit.
Here's Ryan move around in the pocket and then finding Devin. Nice spin move, 64-yard touchdown.
Yeah, we were able to find a way to get Devin out of double coverage, and a little halftime adjustment there by Coach Moore and the staff, and to make that big play.
Now here's the 55-yard touchdown to Jermaine. Is that a check down there?
No, that is a scramble. Ryan McCowan make a play.
We've seen that before. And here's JT, another big game. This is one of his 4 touchdowns right here. Catches this from Ryan on the scramble and goes 41.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of teams have the designed throwback to the running back there, and Ryan put that play in himself there and made a great play.
Here's a nice breakup by Jalen McGowan. It was 3rd and long, and he comes in and knocks it away.
Jalen made some big plays Friday night. Jalen and Jonathan Johnson really made some good plays at corner.
Here's one of those beast mode runs by J.T. Johnson.
This is one of our cleanest executed plays by the O-line. They struggled a little bit Friday night on some of their assignments, but on that particular play, they blocked it really well.
It was the cleanest game you've played so far.
No doubt. Took care of the football.
No interceptions. We had the one fumble.
Yeah, I don't know if we had any sacks. Defensively,
Had a lot of pressures.
we did. But our defensive backs, and they dropped a couple balls. They could have made big plays. Hallsville did. They didn't make the plays, and we did make the plays. But also, they put us in a lot of contested situations in the back end where our DBs had to make plays. And I don't know how many pass breakups we had, but we had a lot of guys that the ball's there, and our kids are breaking the ball up right there at the point to make the play. And that's a good sign.
Yeah, and that's one of the big, I hate to say surprises, but one of your concerns coming into the season were your cornerbacks and your secondary. And those guys have just been playing lights out so far.
They have, and we've got some guys back there. We're able to move Cash Bearden around. He can play safety or corner. We're able to add Devin into the mix. And then to have, like you saw there, some other guys step up and make plays, that's a bonus for us.
So week 2 of District 9 5A Division II play is in Marshall as the Mavericks coming in. Coach, you're heading to Maverick Stadium, of course. They're 2-2, and then it's Marshall. I mean, they're just a physical football team. They played a pretty tough non-district schedule. I was a little surprised last week by the win over Pine Tree. I thought Pine Tree had been playing better, but had the goal line stand, and they beat Pine Tree 17-10. Talk about the Mavericks.
They are playing really sound fundamental football right now. They're not beating themselves. They're playing very disciplined on defense, very assignment oriented. Pine Tree had a chance to win the game and didn't execute. Marshall stepped up and made the plays. So they're not the typical Marshall team that you look out on the field and say, oh my gosh, look at all those incredible Division I athletes. That's not who they are. They're a very well coached, disciplined, hard playing football team.
Yeah, one of those disciplined players, as you said, not an imposing looking quarterback, but Oliveira gets it done for Marshall. He played well at Tomato Bowl last year until he got hurt, but he's solid on offense for Marshall. Talk about what they do offensively.
They're going to run the inside and outside zone, and the quarterback really does a good job of reading it. The running back is a tough runner, got big offensive linemen, so we're going to have to hold up on the front end there.
Defensively, Marshall always has team speed. How will you attack them defensively? Because you know that they're going to probably want to put pressure on Ryan McCown as they've seen other teams do it, force him to get out of the pocket. Do you expect that Friday night?
Yeah, they had a good game plan last year, so what they've got to do is they've got to stop the quick pass game, and they know that, and we have to make modifications to that, and we're going to keep doing that. Yeah. That's really a part of our run game. What helps our run game is if you have to defend the quick pass game outside, then that helps us run the ball inside. So we've got to keep doing that, and it's a cat and mouse game. And the coaches say whoever's got the chalk last is the one that wins on the dry erase board. So it's going to come down to that. If we can get them in the right situation, can we make the plays?
And that is a key for your offense, is for Ryan to get rid of the ball and distribute it, especially with a team like Marshall, who, they're going to try to bring it. And so the RPOs is what I'm talking about. Yeah. I know that's really important.
Yeah, it is. And we got to keep improving on that. When I watch film of us and I see kids making plays, it's amazing how many kids have only played 4 varsity football games out there. We're still very young. And this team is going to be loaded next year, but we're not satisfied with that. We want to keep making strides every week and get these juniors and some of the sophomores to step up and keep making plays. And by the middle of the season where we're getting to here, you're not really a first-time varsity football player anymore. It's time for you've got your feet wet. It's time for you to get in there and make the plays.
So what are the keys to beating Marshall?
Yeah, well, first, it's like it was last week. Don't beat yourself. And really, that's what Marshall did against Pine Tree, and that's what we did against Hallsville. If you watch our game, we caught all the deep balls. Hallsville dropped 2 or 3 deep balls that could have been touchdowns for them. That game could have been a shootout instead of ending up a 29-point win. It could have been down to the wire. Same thing with Marshall and Pine Tree. when it came time to make the play on the 1 yard line, the Marshall defense made the play. And that'll be a challenge for us. Getting into the red zone is one thing, getting the ball in the end zone against their defense. So I would say red zone efficiency, don't beat yourself, take care of the football.
And Coach, lastly, I know that, getting a win, especially a district win, is really big. But getting a win after having 3 tough losses emotionally, how is your team right now? I mean, obviously practice has been a lot better this week after getting a win like that. But how important is that emotional part of getting that W out of the way at Tomato Bowl, getting the feathers back on the helmet? How did that put a step in the kids' walk this week in practice?
Well, what you got to be careful of is patting yourself on the back and saying, we got the W at the Tomato Bowl, hey, we got our feathers, and not when you're thinking about that, you're not thinking about, okay, now what does Marshall do on 3rd down and 1? What does Marshall do on 3rd down and 10? You got to focus on what's ahead of you and quit looking in the rearview mirror. That stuff's past. We got to get ready.
Well, it's Jacksonville and Marshall at Maverick Stadium in Week 2 of 9-5A Division II. We'll be on the air at 6:45 on JHS-sports.com. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.